Breaking news, the Atlanta Falcons have just made big-time moves in the free agency period. They were quiet at the beginning, and a lot of fans were struggling to understand what is going on with this team. But they made some moves, and in this video, I'm going to break down these moves, but also tell you what I foresee happening down the line for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the big news that just came out is that the Atlanta Falcons just signed Leonard Floyd, former San Francisco 49ers. I would say he's at the end. They signed him to a one-year, $10 million deal. Now, here's what's good about Leonard Floyd. He is an 8.5 sack guy last year. Over the last 4 years, I'm just going to read you his sack totals. He had 8.5 last year. The year before, he had 10.5. The year before, he had 9. And the year before that, he had 9.5. So, over the last 6 seasons, he's had over 9 sacks. That's something that the Atlanta Falcons need. They've been desperately wanting pass rush. And no, this does not fix their pass rush problem, but it helps. Leonard Floyd is a player that you can pair him and put him with another player, and he can get after it and get you 9-10 sacks a season. I would say this is a start in the right direction for the Atlanta Falcons, sorry. Also, the deal, 1 year, $10 million. I feel like that is a very, very good, very team-friendly deal for the Atlanta Falcons to get a guy that could help them going forward in the future. Now, also, I want to put it out there, the Atlanta Falcons also re-signed Mike Hughes to a 3-year, $18 million deal. Another bargain of a deal for the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Hughes is a starting caliber corner, and we've seen those prices on the corners out there in the league, most of them getting 20 to 25 million. For them to retain Mike Hughes for $6 million a year, that's not only a deal, that's tremendous value for a guy that we've seen play well in the Atlanta Falcons defense. And for them to get a deal done to re-sign Mike Hughes, secure him for 3 years so he can play along with AJ Terrell for the next 3 years for less than $18 million, I think that is a phenomenal deal. And I would say people aren't going to talk that much about him, but 2 bigger acquisitions that really plug holes in the Atlanta Falcons defense. Now it's time to see how they do and what they do after the draft, but it's going to be very, very interesting, especially with these 2 late acquisitions of the Atlanta Falcons. Also, in earlier news this morning, we saw the Atlanta Falcons pick up Deablo, a linebacker that played for the Raiders. He signed a 3-year deal. I believe it's worth $18 million. Don't quote me on that, but I'll put it on the screen now. I don't know about the value perspective. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not well versed on Deablo, but I will say this. He is a fast, athletic linebacker who could help in space. And so if the Atlanta Falcons had a plan, and if they identified this is the guy that will help execute their plan, $6 million a year is pretty good for a linebacker. Same with Mike Hughes. The Atlanta Falcons have taken a calculated approach to getting, I wouldn't say not to getting, but to getting deals on their players. They're not just pulling the gun, pulling just all the shops, getting the most expensive players and the quote-unquote best players like we saw the Patriots do, like we saw the Bears do. They're being very calculated. Now, some people will say that's not good, especially for Terry Fontenot, who could be on his last year of his GM role. But I also think it's not too terrible. The Atlanta Falcons were able to get 3 quality players for not that expensive. But going forward, what is down the pipe for the Atlanta Falcons? We've seen them make 3 moves now, 3 smaller, I would say underrated moves. I'm hearing reports now that Tyler Allgeier could be getting traded. The Atlanta Falcons have identified Tyler Allgeier as a person that could get traded. I love Allgeier. I think Allgeier should be Atlanta Falcon. But if the Atlanta Falcons want to get ahead, like they've always been behind the last few years, if they want to get ahead, Tyler Allgeier will be a free agent next year, and he'll pretty much leave and sign a mega deal. So if the Atlanta Falcons want to get ahead and get some value for Tyler Allgeier right now, that's how you do it. I also think he has a great trade market, and I think there's a lot of teams that will be interested in him. So I'm hearing that the Falcons are taking calls on Tyler Allgeier, and they may move him before the draft just to get more draft capital and continue to fill these holes. I'm not hearing much about Kyle Pitts and his movement. I think he is an Atlanta Falcon right now, but we will see if that changes in the future. Big news as well. Kirk Cousins apparently is the Browns' #1 choice for the quarterback in this offseason. We will see if he ends up on the Cleveland Browns, but apparently the Browns are waiting for the Atlanta Falcons to waive him. I think the Atlanta Falcons should stay put and let the Browns get desperate because they start seeing these quarterbacks fly off the board. And as we see, there's a lot of quarterbacks that went places and there's not a lot left. And the Browns, they're looking in this position. They're like, hey, we may need to get Kirk Cousins. I wouldn't be shocked if they figure out a way to trade for Kirk Cousins and Atlanta Falcons could get some trade value for Kirk Cousins. But other than that, those are the free agency updates. 2 big time moves. I wouldn't say big, but 2 interesting but good moves for the Atlanta Falcons toward the middle of the free agency period. We'll see if they make any other moves. But if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And if you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here. And like always, peace.